Good morning, everyone. We are going to get started shortly here. I'm Lisa. I'll be teaching the Realist class today. We've got a good-sized group coming in, and most of you are there. So we're going to wait just a minute or two. Just a few things that I want to go over with you today. We are going to go through Realist and BSA tax records, and then I'm also going to show you some things like creating labels in Realist as well. If you look to the right of your screen, you should have your toolbar, and if you have any questions, would click on your question bar and just type a question. We've got the wonderful Colleen Delang with us. Colleen.
Good morning. Thanks for letting me help out. You helped me yesterday. I get to help you out today.
Oh, I'm glad you can help me out because we've got a big group today, so I want to make sure we keep moving along and we don't get behind, so that'll be perfect. And also, Colleen's been great. She's she's actually uploaded the handouts that we've created. They're on the right side of your screen, also in your little toolbar. And like I said, just put those questions in there as you go. She'll stop me in between. I'll show you things as we go, and hopefully we can teach you some new things today. And I'll try not to go too fast, but just remember we are recording the webinar. So if you need to go through it again, give Colleen a few days and she'll have it uploaded to our YouTube channel so you can view it again. We also have those handouts, and you can always find those handouts in Paragon as well under MLS documents. We have all kinds of handouts in there, and I can show you at the end where they're at. Okay, so I think we're pretty good. So let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do is start off in Paragon. We are going to try to follow along, log into your Paragon account, and we're going to pull up a listing. I have one of my listings that's already closed, but I'm going to start off with that. You're welcome to use it, and then we'll take you through a couple things here. Okay, so I'm going to off my camera so you can see a better view of my screen, and let me just make sure I give you a better. Okay, so let's get started here. So I'm in Paragon right now. I up this listing that I just closed on. The address is 3190 Clays. So if you'd like to follow along, if you just type in the address in your power bar up here at the top, and like I said, it's 31920 Clays, and as you put it in here, CLAEYS, it should pop up as closed. If you click on it, it should open up the full agent view for you, and we're going to look at some of these little shortcuts we have here that's going to take you through a few things. So this is my Clays listing, and if you look on we're on the Legacy Full Agent Report. You have these different icons here, and these will take you through. We're going to go into BSA and Realist from here. If you are on the Agent Detail with Map, your icon should appear in the middle somewhere here. So the first icon we're looking for is this blue one. It's supposed to be some type of a color, but it looks like a trash can. But if you hover over it, it's going to say BSA Online Free. So BSA is our tax site. It takes you directly to each city tax site. Now, with our membership, My Realtor for us to use all of Macomb County properties to find St. Clair counties as well as all the gross points. Some cities do charge, some do not. But anything that is outside of those areas, you'll have to look and see if there's a fee. And I believe the fee went up a little bit. I believe it's $6 now or $6.50 that will give you the record for that property. So, but it is, like I said, directly through the website. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my link here, this icon. And I'm going to take you into BSA, and I'll explain some things in here for you. Okay, so as it opens up, it should show property address, your parcel number, owner information, and then it's going to give you some information about the property itself. So this is really important when you're doing a listing. I always use BSA for all my listings, and that way you're getting all the information you need to fill out. Again, like the assessed value, your taxable value, it will give your square footage, your acreage, your lot sizes. So all this information is really important to have for your listings. As you go down further, you just see the owner and taxpayer information. This is good to look at too, because if you see a different address here than the property address, that means that it's not owner occupied most likely. That's where their tax bill is going to a different location. You'll have information here for, this is for the current tax year that they have right now is 2024. Again, your assessed and your taxable value and your SEV, all things that you'll need for your listing. This is also important, your homestead. You want to make sure that it is homestead on the taxes. And then you can see your previous years of taxes as well. So it kind of gives you an idea of how much it's gone up. Now, again, since they own the house, it's capped at 5% or the rate of inflation per year. But as it, once it sells, it uncaps. and then it goes up. So you will want to look that up and try to find your millage information, which I'll show you where you can find it here, because if your buyer is purchasing the home, you want to give them an idea where their taxes are going to be, because they can increase dramatically. So I've seen some even double, depending how long the current owners have been in the house. So you can see your lot size here, 93 by 113. If it's been split, you'll see that here. You've got your legal, which you'll need as well, and then your sales history. So I just sold the property. We just closed on November 13th. So, and then if you go down further, now you can get all the information from the square footage. The one thing that I do always look at in here too, which is really important, is your foundation size. This is a colonial, so we know that floor area, the total square footage, is not going to be the square footage of the basement. So it's good information to have all that as well. Your year built. It tells you that there is central air as well as forced air heat. And then it also gives you the dimensions with the siding and brick. And if you go down a little bit further, just garage information, fireplace if they have any, plumbing and so forth. So a lot of good information. Now, if you scroll back to the top on this and you go to your tabs up here, you have a little more information. So from the property information, the next tab over is your tax information. If you click on this, and this will give you, again, tax address, where it's the taxpayer's address, where it's going, and then your taxes. Now, this is where you can see your millage rates. So the 2024 winter taxes, you can see the total amount. If you open this little arrow here to the left of the year, it's going to give you a breakdown of the millage. So you can see exactly how they're configuring the pricing on their taxes here. So this is where their millage rate is. So they're at 2.001800. There's also a great website, I believe the state of Michigan has it, and I will find it, and I can always have Colleen send it to everyone, but it will also give you an approximate future tax amount. It goes by the taxable, it won't go by taxable, it'll go by the SEV, because again, once they uncap, your property value is going to change, because now they don't have to go by the rule of 5% increase on the taxes. They're going to uncap it because now it's a new owner. It's going to go to your SEV rate, which again on this one, your assessed value is right here actually, is a 142,700. The taxable value is 70,000. So my client was only paying taxes on 70,478 as a taxable value. The new owner is going to be 142,700 once that reassesses, which is around summer, around May. Okay, and if you go back to the top, to the right of tax information, building department, this is really good information as well for your sellers and buyers. This will tell you if permits have been pulled, if there has been any fines or anything through the city. Sometimes it's just from them not cutting the lawn or what have you, but you want to make sure that there's not a balance here. You can see these were all building permits that she pulled, mechanical, plumbing. So for the work that my client had done, she had permits pulled. And then you can see amount due is 0. If you want to see the permits, you click here to the right where it says view, and it will open up more information. So this was for the siding, the trim, the gutters, that replaces any rotted wood. And you can see when this was done. So again, this is good information, whether it's a buyer or seller, because you want to make sure that your seller that doesn't owe anything. And for a buyer, you want to make sure that permits were pulled or that there isn't a balance on anything as well, and that things were approved as well. Okay, so that is your City of Warren. This is their BSNA site. Again, you can search different addresses up here. Anything in Macomb County, you're not going to pay anything for. Anything in St. Clair County or any of the Grosse Points, My Real Source takes care of those charges. So you'll be able to get that information. If you need to go to a different county, again, you'll want to watch for those to see if there's any charges on them. Okay, I'm going to take you back into Paragon. Is there any questions about BSNA? Most of you have probably used it.
I think I've been answering them, but if you want to show it, it's probably even better. If the property hasn't been listed, Lisa, can you show them where they would be able to find that tax information right under the tax button in Paragon?
Absolutely. So if you go back to your Paragon homepage, at the top middle here, there's a tax button. Click on that. And then you're going to go to BSNA Online. And then you're going to find your county. So here's your Macomb counties. And if you go through, you just click on whatever city you use. So City of Fraser will take you to their website, and you can enter the address. You can enter a name. You can go actually by the name, or you can search by parcel number. Most people don't have parcel numbers, at least have the address options to search.
Perfect. And then there was one other question. Can you show the quick action link one more time on your listing?
Absolutely. So again, you'll start off from your listing. You want to open up the full report. So legacy full agent, agent detail with map, and you're going to look for those little icons. If you're on the agent, that will be on the left under your name, and it's going to be that little blue box with it looks supposed to be a pillar, but trash can. So either there or your agent detail with map will be in the center area here. And then you'll find those
All
little
right,
icons.
that's all we have. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Colleen. Okay, so let's move on to Realist. There's a lot more I can show you in there. BSA is pretty simple, but let's take you into. And I'm going to go back to Paragon and I'm going to go to my listing. So now the next step is we'll take you from the icon here into Realist. I'm going to show you how to run comps, but I will also show you afterwards how to start in Realist and open up a property that wasn't listed and do a listing on that as well. So we're now going to look for our icons again. So I'm going to go to this red icon, which is a Realist. It's just a red with like a little circle in the center. If you hover over, it should say Realist Property Detail. One thing keep in mind, if you find any property, if you open up something, say in Oakland County, you're not going to see the links there because again, my Real Sources has picked the counties that they've, that they can pay for us, with the expense of adding on because they're paying every time you click on it. Most of these cities that are charging, they're charging my Real Sources. So we are limited, but we do have quite a bit. Macomb County again, all of St. Clair County and all the Grosse Pointe. So we do have a good amount. But if you don't see it, it's because again, it's not included in your membership. So you might have to pay for it. So let's go. So then you can, again, you can go and search for those properties and then you can choose if you want to pay for the information or not. Okay, so I clicked on my list, my little icon to bring my list up. So the first thing you're going to see is all the detailed information about the property itself. So it's kind of the same information in different format. There are things here that you won't see sometimes in BSA. At the very top, property address, your property ID number, owner information, and then this is going to give you some statistics as you go through it. So it's got some community insights as far as home values in the area. Gives you a school district, again, important information, and the sub for your listing. Now, keep in mind, Realist is a third party, so they are going to the cities, pulling all the information and putting this information here. Always double check the information because again, there's always room for error, even with a city. Sometimes there's typos in there. I always double check what the seller has, and then I check with the city as well. But yeah, double check the information and make sure before you're putting this as your listing. As you go down a little bit further here, there's tax information again here. It's going to give you a breakdown as far as your SEV, your taxable value, the years, and then what your total taxes are. To go down further, last 3 years of assessments and taxes, and then your total taxes as well, last 3 years. So you can see the difference, and it looks like they've had a few drops in them, which is actually I'm sorry, they went up from the 33 to 35. But I'm guessing now with the new buyers, it's probably going to be closer to 6,000. And then as far as breakdown of your taxes, your winter and summer are here as well. And then if you go down further, here is your information about the property. Now, one thing I want you to notice on here is tax and MLS written in different sections. So what this means is that tax records is showing that there's 3 bedrooms. MLS records show 4. This is a 4-bedroom home. I was in it, so I know, which was incorrect. So again, that's why I say double check the information. Full baths are saying there's 2 full baths. There's actually MLS, we had 1 full bath and 1 half bath because there's 1.5 in this home. So again, it's as accurate as the people are putting it in. And sometimes, like I said, there's rooms for error. So, make sure that you're putting in the right information when you're putting your list in. Self score.
Lisa,
Yes.
we did have one question. Can I just jump in?
Absolutely, anytime.
Does Realist show homestead?
Show homestead with your taxes. Let me see. Let me think on this one.
I thought it did, but
I thought it did too, but I'm looking right now to see where the location is because here's your tax record information, but it may not show it in here, which is interesting because I thought they had something about the homestead in here as well.
Good too.
Yeah, so I honestly, I don't see it in here. So again, that's probably something you'll want to check with the city records, which always shows a homestead. But yeah, I'm looking at all these assessments and I don't see anything showing because it is homestead, 100% homestead. And this is all the characteristics of the interior and the exterior of the house that would be in there. So no, I'm sorry, it does not. I wonder if that's information that we can request. So we'll look further into that and see if there's an option for that. Because I'm surprised that they don't have it in here since you
Yeah,
have all
me
the.
too. I'll look at that. I'll see if that's a field we can get added.
Please, yes, thank you, Colleen, and we'll see what we can do about that. Okay, and then after, like I said, after your information about the interior and exterior of the house, you have your self score. So this is giving you an idea of whether or not they feel the property the sellers may sell. So the way they're looking at it is they're looking at, is there a mortgage on the property? How long have they occupied the property? So they're saying, hi, well, again, she lived in this home for over 20 years, so it was, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to sell, but sometimes if you're looking for properties that you want to market or send mailers to, maybe looking for these high sales scores might help you. And then it also gives you some trends for rental if they decide to rent in that area. It gives you those numbers as well. And then you'll see listing information. So every time this property listed in the MLS, you'll see it in here. So the last one obviously was the one that I had listed. And then if you go down further, you can see the last time before that, I don't even know if it even shows the original. They moved into a trust and into a trust. So yeah, because it was back in the, I want to say that she bought either in the 80s or 90s, so it doesn't go that far back. So it just shows the 2007 because it was moved into the trust names. But other than that, you don't see any of the sale from back in the day. And then if you go down further, this I find is really good information. You typically do not see this. None of this information is usually in BSA. So it will give you mortgage history. Now, when my buyers are looking to make an offer, I like looking at this because I can tell them they took out a mortgage, like this is a new owner. They've just taken out a mortgage for $260,000 in November. So sometimes you can tell by looking at those numbers if how negotiable they may be on the price, because if they still owe a lot, typically they're not going to be that negotiable. So that's really good information as well. If the home went into a sheriff's sale or foreclosure, that information will be here, which again, you don't usually see that. Sometimes you'll see it at the recording, sheriff's sale and stuff in BSA, but it doesn't break it down, where this will actually break it down and you'll see the whole process of the sheriff's sale and then auction, and then it shows that it went to foreclosure, the ownership of the bank, it will give you a lot of detailed information. So that's really good information too as well. Okay, so this is all the information you will find on the listing itself. I'm going to take you into the next step, which is going to be comps. So Realist will allow you to do comparables, and you can do a nice report. The only thing, there's two things. The advantage of this is Realist does pull information for records for properties that sold for sale by owner. So when you have a property that you're having a really tough time in the MLS finding good comps, this might be a great place for you to check because you can find those for sale by owners in here. The only thing I don't like about the report is the comparables that you're using, you see a front photo and that's it. So I like having my clients look at interior photos as well, because then they can understand why I'm giving them a suggestion of a list price comparable to what properties I'm pulling in, where they're only seeing the front view. So I've used some of the Realist report and add it to my Cloud CMA and use both together. So you have an option of, you can save these and upload them as custom pages into your CMA and just drop them right in, or print them and, include them in your report, whatever way you'd like to do it. But again, it can give you some information that you may not be able to pull into Cloud. So, which is good. Again, those for sale by owners are. So let's go to the top here. And if you look at the top left of your screen, you have the second one over from Launch Realist is Comparables. So you're going to go ahead and click on Comparables. And give it a second to load, and then it's going to automatically start pulling comparables for you. And give it another second here to load. I apologize. Sometimes it takes a second because it's trying to pull the comps right now as it's searching. And it's moving a little. This is a good time to grab a cup of coffee until it loads here. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so let me explain what we're looking at here, and then we'll make some changes and see what we can find. So at the top here, this is, it'll tell you it's Realist. You have two options. You got your dashboard and you have your search. Search takes you back to your main page in Realist. As you look down here further, you've got the property address. If I want to keep searching this property, maybe I need to look at it again. I'm listing it now. I want to run numbers again. You have the star here. If you click on the star, it's added to your saved property pages. If you look to the right of your screen, the star right here, those are all the properties I've saved. So all you do is just click that star and it drops it in there for you. So next time you come in, you can go into your star and just click on the property and it pulls the information. You can do at that point, run comps again. If you go down a little bit further here, we have these tabs we'll be walking through. And then you can see here, it's already pulled 50, it's pulled 20 for me. It will pull up to 50 because I have that selected, but it's pulled 20 for me automatically. And the way it pulled them is that you have search criteria in the top right corner here of your screen. This search criteria has a default set. So if you've never used Realist, it's already set by the default that Realist has set up for you. We can modify this. So let's go ahead and click on your search criteria box. And let's walk through all this information. So right now, as we're going through this, we can save it and submit it. So it'll be your default, or you can just submit it. It just changes it for this search. So first thing it's going to ask you is how many comparables do you want to see? So you can see up to 50. If you don't want to see, that many, you can just hit 20 if you'd like. Then it's going to ask you, how do you want to sort the information? So when you're looking at the listings at the bottom with the list, which ones do you want to see at the top? So you can sort it by the square footage, by the distance from the subject property, wherever it's closest, the most recent sales, or by the price. Mine are by square footage, but again, you can do any of these. You want to include property images, value projected by assessment, by square footage, and your real AVM. These are some automated values, some automated pricing in there. If you don't want to include them, you just click on them and it will turn them off for you. Okay, so again, it's just whether or not you'd like to have them on. I like keeping everything on so I can show you, but it's completely up to you, however you'd like. Does it have a pool or no pool? No, this one doesn't have one. How far from the subject property? So you can go up to 10 miles. Now, I have a property I just sold in Clyde, on Clyde and Fenton. Heartland Township actually was the mailing address. They had 20 acres. So 1 mile brought me no cost whatsoever. So I actually went up to like 6 miles in order to find, comparables. So again, adjust it as needed. If you're in an area that's more rural with acreage, huge lots, you're going to want to adjust this. But typically I do the amount that most appraisers do, and that's usually 1 mile, 1 square mile around the property. You can also search by pricing. So if, for example, you're in an area and your listing is newer and there's a lot of older homes, and the price point, you might want to set up, a minimum price, or you're not pulling all those older homes. You could say, I want anything that's 300 and up. Again, you can choose it or just leave it blank and it pulls everything. You can also do it by year built. So if, this is an older property, it's I believe 1971, but maybe there's some homes that were built in 2000. So maybe I cap this at 1980, or 1985, because we know an appraiser will pull newer homes, but then they readjust for the homes as well. Bedrooms. Do I want to find a minimum of 4 bedrooms? Well, the problem in this area is that there's a lot of 3-bedroom homes, and I don't want to lose those as possible comparables, so I'm going to keep mine open. But again, if you need to find 4 bedrooms, or I had one that was a 5-bedroom home, so I was pulling 4 and up because I wanted to get as close to subject property, but there wasn't much that was 5. So again, if you need to adjust this, you can. And a lot of times I will create this, do my search. If I have way too many, I want to narrow it down, I'll just come back in. You can hit your search criteria again and adjust it again. So then you can narrow it down a little bit. How many bathrooms? Again, you can adjust it by that. Stories, be careful with stories because the only options you have for stories are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can't put in there 1.5 story or a bungalow or a split level ranch. So I usually don't use stories unless it's a ranch or I know it's a colonial. Because I don't want to miss those split levels or if I need a bungalow and so forth. So I don't usually fill this in, again, unless there's too many in the area and I want to narrow it down. So tax and distress sales. I want to include all tax sales. That means I'm including my REOs, my short sales, my foreclosures. But if you don't want to, you can adjust that too. Your boundaries. So the location. Do I want things in the same subdivision? If you are doing a condo, I always suggest to do like same subdivision. So if you want to just pull that specific condo complex for comps, otherwise, usually I'll leave this open because I'm going to put my how far, I already put 1 mile around. So it doesn't matter if it's in a different sub as long as it's within the area I need. But you have different options here as well. Site influence. Is it a water property? Is it on a canal? Is it a corner lot? Be very cautious with some of these too, because when you start narrowing this down, some of this information, if the property doesn't have this listed in there, you'll miss those properties. So just be careful when you're selecting these, because if you get 0 results, then that could be a reason. reflecting here, they may not have that information on the listing, that they have. So it miss those properties. A date type. So do I want it by the recording date or sales date? I always do by the sales date because we know sometimes it's 30, 60, 90 days before they're recorded, depending on the county. And then how far back? You can go up back to a year. In the summer, I'll sometimes just go back 6 months because I know we're in a busy time and I don't want to check properties last year. I want, everything that's more recent. And you can also do a date range as well. Square footage. So with my square footage, I always do the same amount that an appraiser typically does. So they usually do 20% above and below the square footage of the property, the subject property. Does that rule always work? No, because sometimes you're in an area where the house that you're working on is either much larger or much smaller than what's sold recent. So sometimes you have to go above that, but I usually leave it at 20% and then I'll adjust as needed. You can also do a range as far as square feet goes. Same thing with lot area. If it's acreage, this allows you to do a percentage, or it does it by square feet, which I really hate this. I really wish that they would just use acreage when they're listing instead of giving you this 10,500 square foot lot, because most people don't know that by that they know that I have a half acre. So but it does by square foot. So sometimes a percentage is a little bit easier. Okay, so the next two boxes, land use and style. So this is kind of like a Paragon. You've got your style of homes, which we tell you not to use regular style. We tell you structure style. Give you your ranch, or it's going to give you your colonial and so forth. So this works the same way. So if I come in here and I put in here that it is a bungalow, it may not find it because it doesn't show on Realist information that it says, it's a bungalow. So again, I'd be very cautious using this. I usually try to skip this completely and I just stay with my land use. So this gives you the option of single family resident or same as subject, or you've got condo or townhouse as well, mobile home. So all you do is you check mark it, drops it here. If you don't want it here, you just click the X and it removes it. Okay, so now, again, your options are submit. So that means I'm going to save this information just for my search right now, or save and submit. This will save it as a default. So next time you come in here, it's going to be the same way. So if you selected things that are a little more to narrow this property down, then you don't want to save and submit. And I'll show you at the end again where you can find this. So I'm just going to submit for this one. And it's going to search again, and it's going to load everything that it finds. Okay, so you'll notice here on my map, I will zoom in a little bit here. Let me close this because it's hard to see. I'm going to zoom in. So the black balloon here is my subject property, and then you can see these are all numbered. Excuse me. So as I move this back up again to my list, these numbers are the same as here. So if you look at like number 1, which is down here in the corner, if I uncheck it, it removes it. So if I zoom back in, number 1's now has disappeared. Oops, I'm sorry. There we go. So it will remove it from your results. So as you go through these, you can uncheck it. So what it did is it just moved everything down. So here's my new number 1 is here. So Madeline was removed and London was moved. But if you want to keep them, you just check mark them. So it automatically selects everything for you. Now, when you're looking at this, you want to see what these properties look like so you know if they're good comps or not. So I'm going to start off with Lund here. And if I click here, you see there's a piece of paper here to the right of the number. That's their detail report. But there's a camera to the right of that. So if there's any photos, if you click on that, it's going to open them up for you and you can go through all the photos. So this is really the only time you see the photos because they're not in your at the end. So here's the photos here. There's 31. And if you arrow over here, you should be able to click on the different ones. And now I can view the interior and say, oh, okay, this is updated like their bathroom. That's fun. Let's look at their kitchen. Pretty much updated, just like my client's was. This would be good. So again, you would flip through these and see, which is a good comparable and which is not. If you look at it and decide it's not, then all you have to do is close effects, and you can uncheck that property. So that way that's not used for your comps and it won't be in your reports. If you scroll through here, you're going to see all the different information, and there's a lot more to the right. Now, sometimes I like to sort these in an order. So like, for example, I like to go by the price. Let's go by the sales price on these right here. And if you click on sale price, it's just an Excel spreadsheet. It's going to shuffle them. Now it's from low to high. But if you want to see the higher ones first, you just click on it again. And now here's my higher ones, and then my, and it goes in order to the low. So I like to do it that way. Now, the one thing with this is sometimes it's frustrating because as you're looking at these and you want to uncheck or check, you want to be able to see what it is that you're looking at, making those decisions. So if you want this where you can see it and you don't have to scroll back and forth, you can left click and I can drag my sold price to right here. And then now I can scroll back and now I can see it. And I can actually, uncheck or check, as I go. So it makes it a little bit easier. So now, like, I'm going to select some of these higher priced houses, for my comps. So, and then I'm going to remove the ones that I think are lower priced. So again, select some of them, like for time's sake right now, we're not going to go through all of them, but I would select a few so you can just use it for their, I'm going to select some of these higher priced ones because or mid-range, I should say, because that's what mine end up selling for. So this one would be a good one. And it allows you so many selected. Let's see, I have too many selected. Some of these low price I don't want. I'm gonna remove those, it's too small. And I know these are not good comparables. So we'll get rid of some of these, and then I can go back to the top and get some of the higher priced ones. And it is going to give you an average, which I'll show you in a second. So you want to be cautious too in what you select because you don't want your client thinking like this one. There's some that sold for $396. My client's house was not worth $396 because there were some things that she still didn't update and her basement was finished. So you would want to get the ones that are going to be close. So when they look at those averages. So I have some selected, and then I'm going to close this box here. And again, these double arrows will just minimize this area. So I want to show you here to the right of your map is a breakdown. So what I've selected now is it's going to give me high, low, and median. So for the sale price, the finished living square footage, what the averages are, price per square foot, your SUV and assessed value. So now we can create a report. So if you look at the top of your screen here, right in the center area, there's a generate report button. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And then we'll walk through the report so you can see what your client's going to see. Okay. So first thing they'll have is the map like we saw, and a lot of the view is the same as what we were looking at. It's going to give the search criteria, the summary statistics, so your high, low, median, average on the sale price and so forth. And then your subject property, and then all the other properties. So here's my listing. And then here are the comparables that I selected. So you can see on these, and let's look at the information. Recording dates, sold price. So here's what I like you to look at. And this is how you can tell if it's for sale by owner or if it was sold by the MLS. So you have MLS sold price. If it's blank, but then there's a sale price, that was a for sale by owner. But if you see the MLS sold price, then those were listed. So that's how you can find the difference between the two. And typically the ones that are not listed sometimes will not have interior photos as well. So those are things to keep in mind. And then again, watch for this tax and MLS difference. So you can see tax records say that this one has 2 bathrooms total. MLS says that there's 3. They've added, looks like they had 2.5 baths total. So yeah, you'll want to look at that information too to see how it compares. Now I had more comparables than just the 4. So there's an arrow here on the picture. It's kind of hard to see, but if you click on the arrow, it's going to pull in your next one for you. Then you can take a look at all of them.
So Lisa, is this a good spot to stop for a couple quick questions?
Absolutely.
One, Carol is asking, is there a way to run reports on a high sell score for properties?
I believe when we go into Realist, I'm going to take you in there next once we're done with the report. You can add it, they call attributes, but it's actual search criteria boxes. And I know there was something in there that had to do with, I believe, the sell score. So we'll look at it and I'll show you where it's at. So we'll double check that.
Okay. And then Andrea wants to know, does an appraiser use tax, the tax sales price, I think she's asking?
So if it is, if it's sold by for sale by owner, yes, it's possible. And that's the one thing you want to keep in mind too with the appraiser is that if an appraiser comes out to your listing and there's some for sale by owners that you know of, it would be good for you to print these and give them to him. Because again, if he's just searching MLS, I mean, they search tax records as well, but and they have, I believe most of them have that belong to MLS will have the access. You know, again, if they belong to us, they have access to Realist as well. But yeah, it is going to be by the sales price that the tax records show. Now, I have seen where someone has sold a home. I've seen a few, which to me is frustrating that this gets done, but the seller doesn't want it reported, so it'll show $1. So then the problem with that is that can't be used for their comps because they don't have the actual sale price. So unless you can get the sale price of the property, again, that could cause a difference, with your comparables.
Perfect. Then Paula had actually a good side note. She was saying that there is a Michigan property tax estimator, and we went ahead and added that into under taxes in Paragon. If you can just jump back to your Paragon tab for 1 second. That was something Brian recently added right under
We did.
tax.
Perfect.
We've added that property tax estimator. So, but thank you, Paula. That was very nice of you to supply the link just in case, but we've actually added it right in for you just to make it even easier. So it's right under tax. And let's see, there's one last question. Oh, can you tailor the toolbar to stay on what you selected? Not exactly sure what that means, but
So I'm guessing for when we were looking at the list, and I had when I was, I think when I was clicking on the different headers, and I was sorting it by high to low, low to high. Maybe is that what? Maybe
okay, maybe she meant lock it into place so you could see.
Yeah, it goes.
The
You
column
can't
to the
really,
left, maybe.
you can't customize. You can't customize that, like the spreadsheet at the bottom of the list. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to hold it for the next time I come in, and I don't think it does because I know I've moved that box multiple times. So it goes back to the default that's set up with Realist. Unfortunately, that's not one of the things that we can customize in there. There's a lot that we can customize, which I will show you. But moving those around in order, I don't believe will come in. You can, like with your search criteria boxes, you can move those in orders, but actual results, I feel that comes in the same order that's already set up as our default.
Okay. And then one last question, kind of going back to the appraisers using sales tax. The last question is, would an appraiser use sheriff sales?
Sheriff sales, they could. I mean, it's a possibility if it's comparable, but I mean, if it's a huge difference in pricing on a sheriff sale than what the property value is, compared to the other comparables, then I would hope that they wouldn't use it. But I've seen foreclosures being pulled, but again, it's really depends on the property that you're trying to comp out. Now, if the property is in bad shape and it's comparable to that, then I would assume that they would use that.
Okay, perfect. That's all I got. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so let's go into finishing up this report here. We went into the comparables at the bottom. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you here is the rest. Okay, that's just the rest of the information which we went through. I showed you how you can arrow through. Let's go back to the top. So there's multiple tabs that's going to be in your report. Market trends is the next one. If you click on there, with the market trends, it's going to give you more statistical information. Again, this might be stuff that would be important for your client, maybe not. As you go through it, it'll show you the total sales count, and it tells you here by tax records, or if you see MLS by MLS records. So these can be toggled, like you can see here, the average sale price by tax records compared to the average, actual sale price by MLS records. So again, these might adjust by depending on which one you're looking at. So sales activity and things like that. Again, your client might like this information. If they're an engineer, they like seeing statistics and things like that, they might enjoy that, but you can remove some of these sections if you don't want to use them in your report. Next to the right of market trends, neighbors. So with the neighbors, it's going to include the neighbors around the property depending on how you have a default set up. So mine is basically pulling right within that street. So you can see this is just the street that my client was on Clays, and it pulled all the neighbors. Now, this is going to show you what the neighbors paid, right, for their home, no matter when they had a sale, which is really interesting. So, for example, this home here looks like the last time it sold was in 2021. Let's get a sale price. If we go through further, this one was 2017, this was 2014. So again, you can see the difference in pricing. This one they bought, it was 163, it looks like. That's their SUV, but there's no sale on this. So they have owned the home way longer than we have records for. So you can see there's no pricing here for sales. Go through with the arrow, it will show you each one. So again, this is information for them too, just to kind of see what's going on their street as well. And going back to that question about sheriff's sale, now I just thought about it and now I understood what the question was. The sheriff's sale price is typically what is balanced with the bank, and a lot of times the pricing for that home will not go through for that pricing. So no, they shouldn't be using a sheriff's sale because typically that is whatever the bank lien is on the property. So I would assume that they would wait till that's sold and then they could see what that sale price is and they would be using that sale price, but not the sheriff's sale price. Okay. Anyways, so that is all we have in this section. So let's go back to here to the right of neighbors, neighborhood profile, and more statistical information about the area. So some of this information could be useful. Some of it I'm not sure about, but so it gives you a population, age in the area, the ratio of female to male. I haven't seen one that was perfectly 50% both ways. That's interesting. But it tells you marital status in the area, which I guess if someone's looking for an area where there's a lot of single people, this has got 25%. I don't know if this, if it's helpful or widows or separated or married, I don't know. But it's interesting information, but I'm not sure your client will see it as interesting. But summary about housing in the area, the home sale prices, the age of the homes, all good information. I love this. Occupancy, how many are owner occupied, the percentage, how much is rented, how much is vacant. If your client's looking to rent, what is fair market rents in the area, in that county, in that area. Quality of life, again, not sure how important this information is and how many blue collar, white collar workers they have. The income, their household income averages. And then commute method, are they driving, walking, I guess? I'm not sure. The weather in the area, I'm not sure that's as important, but education I feel is very important. If they've got kids, it will show the highest level attained, how many high school graduates, and then the schools. Again, this is always good information if they have kids. So it will give you the school, the distance from the house, the grades that they have, how many students per teacher. This is great information because some of these classes have a ton of kids, and then you've got the ones with the smaller groups, which is great. And then the rating with Great Schools rating. So this is their rating. But I would look further into it again. Just, there's other ones that I'm sure do ratings as well. Good for you to just information. And then you've got all your elementary schools in here. And then you go into middle schools. And again, all the ratings and how close they are. There's quite a few here. And then your private schools as well. And so that information I find is helpful for families that have got kids that are, the school areas and to find out a little bit more about the schools for their kids. Next to the right is a flood map. We're nowhere near a flood zone here, but you can always double check to see if FEMA shows that it is or not. And you can see the properties here, and it's nowhere near a flood zone. So good information just to double check. Hazards and risks. This information is additional costs for the hazards and risks in your neighborhood. If you want this, you can purchase it, but there's a lot of information. I'm not sure if it's necessary, but again, if you're looking for something specific, you can always add these additional things. So it does give you more information. And let's see, and then building permits report. That's new. They didn't have that before, but again, you got to pay for this. So it's additional. But if you're trying to find it and you're not finding anything with the city sites with BSA, you can always check this too. Okay, so we have now gone through what your report looks like. So you have two options, print or email. So if you look here to the right, let's take a look at those. So top right here, print is the first option. So I have to go back to my beginning. Whoops. And it just lose everything. Okay, give me 1 second here. I apologize. I hit the wrong. The address we're at. So I wanted to take you into how to generate that report and print and email it. So you have the two options. If you're still open, if you select print, you can do a quick print or customize. Customize allows you to remove some of those sections that you don't want to include in the report. So if you want to customize it and remove things, you can. If you want a quick print, it should print everything for you. So if you click on it, then it's going to download a PDF to your computer and you can print it from there, or email it, whatever way you'd like to. And then the email allows you to send it directly from here, but it shows it's coming from you. All right, let's report with whatever selected so I can show you real quick. Report. And then I'm gonna go back to, so basically from your comparables, you come up here, hit print or email. So for email, if I want to hit customize, again, you can remove things. If you hit building permits, that's interesting because this is new and they just put it here. So it's a quick way for you to add it to your cart. But again, it'll be charged, I'm sure, before it continues. And then you hit proceed. So when I do email, it's going to process to create this PDF report, and it creates a link in the email that your client will click on, and then it will go from there. And I'm not sure why it just caused error with my photos. Interesting. Okay, let's see if this actually creates it. I haven't seen this before either. So give it a second here. And once it's done processing and it creates that PDF, you can add to email. At the end, I'm going to show you how to set up your custom signatures. So when you're doing these emails to your clients, your information is on email. Pop-up window comes up. See, it comes into my email, so it's going to be sent back to me if they reply to it. Put in your client's information, or if you want to send it to yourself, you can. It will say who the property report was coming from, and then I have my little signature line here. And then you can just, put that information in, but we'll do it in settings as well. And then you just hit send. So, and then again, we'll get the same report. And then print, same thing. If you want to customize that print, I can proceed here. It'll create that PDF and drop it onto my desktop. I'd like to see this one though, because it's giving me an error for photos. So I'd like to see what's going on there because I have not seen that happen before. So it's always great that, you get the errors when you're in the middle of teaching a class and everyone, and you're not sure what's going on. So we'll look at it, see if it's something we have to report.
That's why we love these live technology classes, right, Lisa?
You gotta love it. Always
Yep.
nice surprises. As soon as this PDF is created, I'll show you the print and how it's going to download to your computer. So if you hit print, you can see mine is, I use Firefox. So it usually drops at the top. If you're using Chrome, it should drop at the bottom. Click on it. And here's a PDF version of it. I'll just kind of flip through it real quick, but it's the same information we saw. So property detail information, start off with here, and it's giving them everything. I mean, your market sales, history, taxes, all of that's in there. I love the property map, and I'm going to show you when you go in Realist too, but this is great, especially if you have an irregular lot. It will show you all those dimensions. So I think this is great information, especially for vacant land. Scroll down more. Here is my comparables that I used, and then the statistics that breaks it down for your averages. And then as you can see here, you can see the houses that it's only showing the first page. So I think what it did not load is the photos of my property, my subject property, because I don't see them in here. So I will report that, find out why that's not working. That should work. So, but again, your comparables, you're only seeing the front view, or if it's for sale by owner, sometimes you only see a map view, like an aerial shot of it. My neighbors, and here's all the neighbor information. And it's not too big of a report. It's 26 pages. It's not horrible, but again, I'm missing my photos. So I think that's part of the reason. And then once you get through the neighbors, there's all your statistical information. Okay, and then your school information as well. So that's, again, what they're going to get. When they click on their link, they're going to see this exact same thing. Okay, so that is our report. Go back. If you need to make changes to this at this point and you realize, oh, I got to adjust some things, you just hit edit report. Takes you right back to where our search was. And then now you can adjust your search criteria or uncheck some of the ones that you don't want to use. So it's that simple. So that is everything with creating a report from a listing in Paragon. So I'm going to walk you going into Realist itself, but is there any questions at this point that I can answer? Everyone's pretty comfortable with it. Okay, so let's go into Realist. So I'm going to actually close this out so I can show you how to get to it as well. And then we'll come back to some other things. Let's go into Paragon, go under taxes, and we're going to go to Realist. So now I'm listing a property. It's never been listed, and I need to pull tax records to get the information. I want to run a report. When you click on Realist, right from your tax button, it's going to take you to this dashboard. This is what you'll originally see. And again, it's going to give you some quick stats. Sales prices, property market. It will have your saved properties as well in here. Excuse me. So you can search by address here, but what I like to do is take you to the actual Realist search. So click on search here to the right of dashboard. And we're going to make some changes in here. I'm going to have you set up a few defaults here. So first thing is on the left side of your screen, you'll see counties. and it says change county. Go ahead and click on change county. You'll want to select all the counties that you typically will search in, because if it's not selected and you run an address, you won't find it. So you can have 12 counties selected, and you can go through this list, and there's quite a few in here. So anything that you possibly might work in, you can add that in here. So I'm not sure why mine are all unchecked. I think they added, because it used to be 9. I believe they added more. Maybe that's why I unchecked everything I had, but I had them all selected at one point. So I'm going to just select some really quick now. And as you select them, you'll see them here on the right side of your screen. If you just put something in you don't want it, there's a little trash button. You can get rid of it and bounce it back out. So again, I would just have some selected, and that way, if you're running, a search in those areas, you know that that property will pull up when you put the address in. And then if you look to the right of your screen, there's an apply button here. We're going to hit apply, and that's going to save it as your default. So next time you come in, your county should be in there still. And then under there, you have 2 options: quick search, my search. Quick search is just like Paragon's quick search. Very minimal information here that you can search by. We're going to go into my search. I don't usually use quick search unless I'm in a hurry and I need just something quick. But my search is where you'll want to go. Click on your tab. And we're going to modify this. So earlier, like I was explaining, you can add additional search criteria boxes. We can do that in here. Your saved searches will come up here as well. So if you do a search and save it, it will pop up in here. But I'm going to go ahead and customize my search. So if you click customize search, now we can go through and we can select some of the things that you want to search by. Now, keep in mind, these are just your search criteria boxes. When you pull the information, you should have all the information that they have on record. But this is if you want to search by certain things. And I think the cell score is what I want to look for. So if you look on the left, the categories are under here. Right now, everything's open, but I like to break it down by sections. So if I go owner information first, I like searching by owner name. Sometimes you'll get a floor call and they give you their name, but and they tell you they have a house to sell, but they don't give you the property address. Put in their name and see what they own. This is a great way to find it. So I always select those. Under owner information to the left, location information, you want to search by address. You can search by city, zip code, but again, you can select whatever you like in here. Subdivision, school district's already an option in there as a default. And then if you go down a little bit more, you've got characteristics. So this is going to be all your features in the house that you're going to search by. So if they want a specific amount of bedrooms, you'll want that, or bathrooms. If they need a pool, you might want that, search by. Foundation, if they need a basement, you might need that. Style of the home, the year built. So again, things that you might need to search by, you want to make sure they're selected. Back to the left of your screen, listing information. If you want to search by MLS records, then you want to make sure some of this is in here. So I have agents that like doing expires. They do mailers or, cold calling, expires. You can run a search by expiration date, in the MLS. And then sold dates, status, you can search actives, pending, whatever it is. And then to the left, again, assessment and taxes. So I had an agent in my class ask, how do they run a search on properties that are used as possibly rentals, or they're not occupying at the time? Well, if you search by homestead, a lot of times, the non-homestead, they're not occupying the house. Some of the other stuff, I think doesn't give you an option to add in. But you do have options to add others. And, the reason mine are not, they're like cloudy, you can't select them. You can have 30 search criteria boxes, and I've already hit my 30. So I have to uncheck something, and then I can check any of these other options. The reason why I can't select something else. Sales information, there you go. There's that sales score. I thought I saw it somewhere. So it's under sales information on the left. So if I want to run searches by, it doesn't still let me select it. I wonder if it's a default. We'll look in there and see once we get back to our criteria box. So it may already be set up as a default in there. It's not letting me select it. But I want to set schedule or by document dates. And then again, you can do sale price. Again, if you need to search by this stuff, you can select it. And then the last thing is, actually there's a couple more. For foreclosure and distress. So if you want to run a search on distressed properties, you can run a search there. And then this last one I love. Mortgage information. If I want to pull properties that are owned by Chase Bank, I can put the lender name in and see what they own, if there's foreclosures and so forth. So again, there's a lot of great information in here. So now you'll want to save. And we want to do it as a search template. So you hit save. and then that will save it as your default. And then when you go in next time, it should be still the same way. So now I can just close this out. So I'm going to close this X to the top right corner, and I'm going to go back to my search page. We should be back here. Now that you've customized your search, you can see all the information here. Now, the one thing I didn't show you, and I'll go back and show you in a second, is you can adjust these in whatever order you want. So in the customized search, I'm going to show you this real quick. Here on the right side, these can be moved around. So if you left click, you can see I can move it. So I like owner information first, and then I should have my address next, which would be the easiest to search by, because if I just want to search on an address, so you can do the house number. And I have it separated. There's address, and then there's house number and street name, because sometimes you only know the street, or maybe the house number, and you can't spell the street, so you put a couple letters in. So it's a great way to search by having those for the separate boxes to search by. And you can always come back and adjust this again. You can always add additional search, depending that day you might want to search for something different that you typically don't. You can go through. Okay, so I'm going to hit apply, and then good, reload here in the order I have. So here we go. So here's the owner name, house number, street name, and so forth. So now to search, you're going to put in property. Let's do the property address. So my place is 31920. If you'd like to search that, you can search your own house. If you have a property you're going to be listing soon, you'd like to take a look at it, go ahead and put those property addresses in real quick. And again, it doesn't have to be listed. This is just pulling tax records. So go ahead and put this in. And then once you have your address in, all you have to do is hit search here at the bottom, and it's going to load here on the right side of your screen. So you can see the map zoomed in. It shows the property. And I am going to move this forward a little bit. And then underneath, if I drag this up a little bit, you can see there's a one-line report. Now, if I want to take a look at all the information, you can just double click on the one-line report, and it's going to take us back to the same step we were at when we selected the link in Realist in Paragon on a property. So you're back to the property details report. From here, if I decided I want to run, comparables on this, you just click on the tab and you start running, start working on your comparables from there. But we won't go through that again since we've already gone through all that. Okay, same information again. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Now to go back here, you don't want to hit your back arrow. You see there's a back button here above the picture on the left side of my screen. You hit back, and then this is going to take you back to your search. So property is still selected here. Now on the map, a couple nice things. So if you click on it, you have options here. So here's a property address, the owner's name, the tax ID, told you again, sales price, sales date. Below that, you have a quick zoom, which if you click on that, it just zooms in for you. To the right of that, this is your dimensions, your parcel dimensions. You click on that, it's going to show them for you. So I've had a few vacant lots that I came in here and I saved this picture right here of the property with the sizes, the room sizes, or the lot size. Hang on one second, let me see right here. There it is. And then that way, you can use that in your listing. So usually this will move out of the way. And right now, it seems like it's frozen for a second here. I apologize. I don't know if it's thinking, but you should be able to use that without here, minimize. There we go. And come on. Usually I have done this, I promise you, and usually I can zoom in a little bit more, but those dimensions will show up on here. I can save this and then just upload it into my listing, especially like I said, vacant land or regular lots. It's great information. Okay, and then also, let's go back to this. To the right of that, your property photos. So it's going to pull from my listing the photos I had, and if you give it a second here, there it is, and then you can see all the photos from here of the property. So again,
Lisa, we had two quick questions. Can
sure.
I
Absolutely.
jump in there? One is how quickly is the sold data inputted so that it's accurate?
So the one thing you want to keep in mind, with this is a third party. Again, they're pulling from the city. So when they're being recorded within the city, then they can pull that information that's brought in. I don't know the exact time frame on that, and we can look into it. But again, it's just going to be depending on when, like I said, the information is in the city sites because they're pulling directly from them.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. He said he's asking some little expired data. How quickly is the expired data input to be accurate?
Oh, so, well, this is pulling, Realist is pulling the information, MLS data from Paragon, and that syncs right away, correct, Colleen? I mean, whether it's updates on a listing, it doesn't update directly in here.
Correct.
So that should be pretty quick.
We have one more.
Sure.
What is the benefit of pulling the information in Realist via the benefit of pulling it in the MLS? So if you're pulling comparables in the MLS, what's the difference basically? Why would you do one
So,
over the other?
so the big thing with Realist again is that you're getting those for sale by owners. You will not get that in the MLS. So that's the only thing really that you're missing. The biggest part that you're missing is those for sale by owners. So if you need them, Realist is a great place to check. I've had properties where I couldn't find any comps. So I could come in here and find some for sale by owners in there because nothing had been listed recently. I couldn't find anything that was anywhere near it. So I came in here and found some for sale by owners. So, again, we try to price these out for listings and give them, a suggested list price as accurate as it could be with an appraiser and what an appraiser is doing. So setting this up and doing the search criteria similar to what an appraiser does, because again, they're using our systems, you would hope that you would get something that's close enough. So when the appraiser comes in, that you're hoping your numbers are pretty good. So that's really, but again, sales for sale by owners.
I love it. All good questions. Thanks, everybody. Keep them coming.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so again, and then to the right of, let's see, this disclaimer, this is just telling you about, so you can't look at those dimensions and the lines that they have here and think it's like a survey. Basically, it's if you have someone come out to do a survey, it's completely different and they're going to be more accurate than what you're seeing here. So, and then again, the report. So the property detail report that we saw already, by clicking on the property itself, double clicking on it, it's the same thing. It's going to take you to that report as well. Okay, so that's going from the map itself. So now I want to show you some things from the maps. As you can see, there's a ton of tools here. We're going to walk through all of that. But I want you to see a good view of it. And you can do this to your screen if you'd like, but you don't have to. I'm going to minimize some of these boxes just to make it bigger so you can have a better view as we do things on here. So at the top here, where it says counties, to the right of that, there's two double arrows. They're a little hard to see, but what it does is it actually closes my search bar. So, and then to reopen it, there's a magnifier. So if I want to open and close, I can. I'm going to hit clear all first because I want to remove what I've searched. So it takes off the property addresses. And then I'm going to close this out. And then the other thing here, my list is down here. If you don't want to include your list, which we're not for this one, I'm going to remove my list for a second. You have options here in the top right of your screen. So it's split, which is you get the list and your map or your list. So I'm going to hit map. So I just closed out my list. And that way we can do some things here. So looking at this to the right as well, plus and minus is your zoom. And then your options of your view. So if you look under map, there's road map. You have your satellite view. And again, you can zoom into this. You have your hybrid view, and that's going to give you all the street names. And then you have your terrain view, to take the road. So I'm going to go to my satellite here real quick and show you something. You have your little Google guy. I don't know if you've seen the cars driving around with the big cameras on at the top of it. They are taking pictures of areas of homes and so forth. So you have your little Google guy here in the bottom right corner, this little yellow guy. So I want to stand on the street and take a look at this house. So I'm going to take him, left click. I'm going to drag him, drop into the street. Now, wherever there's a blue line, those areas he can see. Now, this over here is a school, and it won't let you can see. They don't have a closer view of that. But all of these streets here off of Masonic and over here off of Clays, you can. So if you click and drop it, so you can see here in the top left corner, it's kind of hard to see, but it has the property address that I'm standing in front of, 31919 Clays. Now, I'm seeing the street, but I can't see the house. So now all you do is with this map, you're going to left click, and you're going to drag it over. So now I'm standing, this is my listing, and I'm standing right in front of it. Okay. So if I want to view the street a little bit more, you have arrows here, and it will take you for a walk, and you can see the houses as you go. Or you can always left click, drag it back, and go through down the street that way as well. Okay. Now, if you don't see arrows going one way or another, that means they don't have a Google view of that area. The house is close up. So you may not be able to. Now, this is right by Masonic, so I'm going to take it down to Masonic. Now, if you notice, I now have 3 arrows. So now I can go down the street, And if I want to, I can go to the street right behind it. Once you get to the street, you'll see the third arrow pop up if you can get to it. Let's take a look and see if they've got a view. And it looks like they don't, which is surprising. I would think that they would have Vegas. So it looks like they don't have an updated view of the street for some reason. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. I took my arrow. So now I can see the houses here. So this is the street over. And all you're doing is you're dragging that map back and forth so you can see whatever view you need and hitting the arrows back and forth. So I absolutely love this. And the nice thing, again, the property addresses changes here in the top left corner of your screen so you know where you're at. So that way you know or not. Okay, so that is your Google view. So I'm going to go back to my regular view of this. So we're going to go out of here, and actually you can't see it. There's an arrow to the left of the address. You got to click on that to take you back to your aerial view, and then it takes you back in here. Okay, so here's your properties again. We're going to go back up to, the map, and we're going to change the satellite view back to your road map because we're going to go through our tools here, but it's hard to draw, I find, with the satellite view because it's hard to see where your lines are. So let's go from here. So if you go to the top left of your screen now, all these icons we're going to walk through. First thing is if you want to relocate this map to a different area to search, you click on this, it's the clear all, then you've got two little icons and this third one right here. So it says locate on the map. If you click on it, you can put in an address, a zip code, street, and it will move you to whatever area you want. So I'm just going to put the zip code area, which is 40803, and then it's going to zoom my map out. Now, as we draw things on here, you might have to zoom in and zoom out, and I'll show you because you won't see the results. So it will tell you when you need to. So that's how you move the location. If you want to put the full property in there, you can. And then we're going to go to the very left to the pencil. We're going to start off with our drawing tool. So I'd like to draw on here and show you how you can run searches that way. So the pencil is going to give you the same tools that we have in Paragon. So you've got your radius, which is your circle. We'll start off with that. Click on that. The radius tool, what you're going to do, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, is you're going to start with your center area, wherever you want to start, and then you're going to draw outwards. So for example, if I want to start over here, kind of where that property was, which is up here in the red, I'm going to click over here by Masonic, and then I'm going to let go of the button and just move my mouse out. Now, I believe with a MacBook, you might have to hold the button down, but just you're going to drag it outwards, okay, and create your circle, and then click again. So it's 2 clicks, one to start it, one to end it. The one thing with the radius tool, your circle, you can move this. Now, the other two, you cannot. So if I click on this and I have it in here and I don't like the exact location because I missed some streets, this white button and this little white circle in the center, if you hover over it, you can left click and drag it over. So I can move this wherever I need to. It will also give you an option to name it because if you want to do multiple, it gives you your shape area, your radius as far as square foot and how many square miles as well, and you can delete it. You can also make it bigger and smaller. So as you click on it and drag it back and forth, you can see I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller. So, and then if you want to remove it, you can hit delete shape. Okay. Now we're going to go back up to the drawing tools. I'm going to show you really quick again. The radius tool, click once on your page, drag it out, click again to create it. Okay. And then if you touch it, you can name it and you can delete it as well. You can also search right from here. Back to your pencil tool, second one, rectangle tool. Click on that. This is going to draw a square or rectangle shape. You're going to go from corner to corner now. So I'm going to start over here and say 13 mile Shaner. I'm going to left click. I'm going to drag this out. Say I want to go all the way back up here. I'm going to click again. And now I've just created my shape. Now you notice there's no circle in the center. I can't move this, but I can still resize it. So if you find that it didn't quite hit the area, I can drag it out here on the left or, on the right side. You can go up and down. So you have the corners and you have your sides that you can move on this and readjust the shape. So I'm going to delete that shape. So again, that one was just my rectangle tool, and all I'm doing is corner to corner. So one click, move it, click again, and there you go. And then you can delete it. And the last one, which again is our polygon, which we have in Paragon as well. So if you need to get around things, that's a great way to go. So now I can draw around different sections. So maybe you have an area where you've got a new construction sub and you want to make sure it's not pulling properties in there. So you can draw around it. So if I come in here, say, we'll start right here at 13, and we're going to go across here to Masonic. Say I want to go to the east of Chicago, but I don't want to go to the west of Chicago because there's bigger homes there. So as I go through here, every time you click, you're changing the direction of your line. And then you go down, and your start point is your end point. So you'll go back to your first point, click on it, and then there's your shape. So this one, you can change the sizing in every corner and every little size. So there's a ton of ways to adjust this. So all you're doing is you're just moving it out or in or whatever you need to. Again, you can't move it, but you can at least resize it and change the shape. Again, you can just delete it. So polygon is you're drawing those lines. So all you're doing, again, pencil, polygon, just clicking, keep clicking, and your start point is your end point. That will create your shape. Okay, so that is our shape. So now, to the right of your pencil, you have these boundaries. So right now, I have a default set for parcel lines. So I've had this happen where I've gone to a listing and I've had a report and she's like, well, what about this house down the street? You didn't include that in your report. Well, I'll come back because I don't have the address. And so I will come to look at it. Now, if you notice the parcel, I have a little magnifier. And if you hover over it, it says zoom in. So I can't see those lines unless I get close enough. So I'm going to go to the right of my screen to my plus. I'm going to keep zooming in until I get close enough that I can see those parcel lines. And here we go back over where it places. So you can see these are your parcel lines. So if she says to you, down the street at the corner, it's the second one before you hit, the round section to get into the next street, you can click on it. And then there's the information on it. And then you can see like this one sold a long time ago. It hasn't sold recently. So that's why. So it's a great way to search. If you need to search something and you don't have the address, you just can go, if you kind of know the location, you can just use it. Okay, so go back to your boundaries. I have it set as a default. Yours might be, but if it's not, I'll show you how to turn it on. Next, you can search different things here, which can be helpful, like schools. So I've had clients where their daughter's at a high school, they graduate the next year, they don't want to switch, they want to stay within that area. I can click on the high school and zoom out here. Let's see if we can zoom out. And it's going to give you your boundaries for that school. So if I can zoom out and find a high school here, I know there's one over here, Hoover. And sometimes it takes a second to load. There they go. So Fresno High School is right here, and you can see all these purple lines coming in. This is the attendance zone for that school. So I have used this before where I used my drawing tool and I drew basically on those lines and saved that search and use that search to run it. Now you can do this also in Paragon as well. So you can run a search just by a school area and attendance zones. Most schools are school of choice. Troy is not, Grosse Pointe schools are not. So if they're looking in those areas, you want to make sure you stay within their attendance zones for those schools. So go back to boundaries. I'm going to uncheck the high school. You have also zip code, township, neighborhood, so forth, but you also have flood zone. So if I click on flood zone, it's going to draw in my flood zone, and then you can take a look at that to see if it's in a flood zone, wherever you're looking. Back to boundaries, I'm going to uncheck that. And I'm removing things because it becomes difficult to see other stuff on here if you keep everything on here. So to the right of your boundaries, at the top left here, you're going to go to the right of that, and now you have property and sales reports. So if I want to search distressed properties in this area, you click on this, and I want to see bank owned, and say I want to see REO sales, and maybe I want auction, and maybe I want short sales. And you can see there's a color code to them. And the bottom here will tell you which each one is. And you can see these dots popping up everywhere. So if I zoom in, you can click on one of these properties and see more information about it. And not necessarily, I mean, these may not have sold yet. They may have sold recently. It might have been a long time ago that they sold and it was a foreclosure. But if you click on one here for a short sale, this house was a short sale. It looks like this last time it sold was in 2014, and that's probably when it was a short sale. And search. The one here is going to give us our bank REO sales. And this one right now is owned by an investment company. It looks like they just bought it last year in May. So again, you can take a look for any of those distressed properties. If you go to the top right again, back to your property and sales, I'm going to uncheck these. And then under there, you have options for sales and value. So if I want to see tax sales in the last 3 months, so if I want to look for things that just sold recently, and it's going by tax sales, so it is, even if it's for sale by owner, you're going to find that information here. So I'm looking 3 months back. Go back into your boundaries, you can change that, and you can go up to 12 months back. I'm going to uncheck that. Okay, expireds. We talked about expireds. So if I want to see expireds, I can click on here. I can go 3 months back and I can search them on the map. And let's see if we zoom out. And I would always double check to make sure they're not relisted because that's always a possibility. But here's one, looks like that expired. Nelson, let's click on that. So yeah, it looks like the last sale day was 2012. So you'll want to run a search on this in Paragon to see if it's listed currently. And then if you go back to our sales over here, I'm going to remove expired. And then the last thing we're going to look at is property characteristics. This gives you different options. The one thing that I find is really interesting, if you can't remember your neighbor's name down the street or a few doors down, you can find everyone's name in here. So under property characteristics, if you click owner name and give it a second to load and zoom in, you are going to see the last name of every house and property that is over here. So again, if you need to find something, or someone told you they have a house within an area and you can't find it for some reason, you can always search it this way, but you can find everyone's names here as well. Okay, back to property characteristics. I'm going to put none, so it removes that. You can also find the addresses, but I find that addresses are a little bit hard to read when you drop those on. The right of your property and sales, we're going to look at trends. So this is going to, what it does is actually shades your page for you and it shows whatever you're looking for. So for example, if I want to see how many number of homes are in foreclosure in this area and I click on that, and then you have an option of doing the level of aggregation. So is it by zip code or neighborhood? And then what type of property? Do you want houses? Do you want condos? Do you want both? And what this does, and you have a opacity scale here. So if you don't want it too dark, you can lighten it up. So you can see here, there's less than 25 houses within this area by the shading. And as you zoom out, and that's the one thing with this map, if you select something and you move the map, it will reload the results for whatever you're looking at that point, whatever it's looking at. It does continue to load everything for you. Okay, so I'm going to remove this back to none. So I can remove out the shading. To the right of that point, yes.
Can I ask one question before you go in? Is there a way to be notified if a particular address gets listed for sale without having to constantly look in property searches? Is there something in Realist for that?
Not in Realist, but in Paragon. So if you go into Paragon and run a search, put the property address, I do this all the time, and then whether you want to see if it goes active or whatever status you're looking for, save that, save it under you as a contact, turn it on, and you will get either email notification, or if you do Clap Center, but email notification is nice, but you will get an email. Actually, I had a property I showed my client that the agent didn't tell us they already accepted an offer, so she was heartbroken. She loved it, but the agent said, I have one coming soon, and he only gave us a street. So I put the street name in, put all active, and I set up the notification. So she received them and I did. So as soon as it went listing, we received it and we knew it went active. And then I pulled the listing and did showing on it.
That's an awesome tip. I know we were looking at a tool for just that, adding to the MLS, but that's a great tip. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, and then let's see here. So points of interest. We'll show some points of interest here real quick. So for example, education, and sometimes it takes a minute to load, so we'll let these load real quick, but it should give you graduation caps, and then you should get this. I'm probably gonna zoom out here real quick. Looking yet? They're taking a second here. Oh, there they go. There's one up here. And so Regina High School is up here. You can see it. So it will give you the little graduation cap. You can click on it. It will tell you the school, and it will also give you the rating on it. So it will pull those all in here for you. You can see the crosses are the churches. So if your client's looking for something specific in the area, you know, maybe the distance from that, you know, the school, how far is it from the house, or, you know, is there one nearby? Anything that they're looking for specific. Find it here. These are the points of interest. They'll each pop up and generate on our map. Okay, to the right of your your binoculars is your driving direction. So that could be a good example. So for example, my client likes a house here in Dover, and then she wants to know how far is it to get to Regina. So I could put in the property address on Dover and then how to get to, you know, Regina High School, and then get directions that way and tell you how far. Or the other option you have, which I don't use this too often, to the right of, this is our location on map, so that's to locate the map in a different area, but to the right of that ruler, you can actually draw a ruler from here to, say, the house. And then if you click on it, it tells you, oops, no, let's pull that 1 second. It's so, then if I have to zoom in, let me zoom a little bit. But if you click on that line, it's supposed to tell you the distance. So that's another way to find the distance, I guess, you know, if you don't want to do the driving directions. So if you click on that, it should give it to you. And of course, it's being difficult right now. Let me zoom in more. I just want to show you that you can do that. Nope, I don't want the location. I just want the map. I want the ruler. So again, you can do it. It's tricky, but it will give you the distance this way as well. So that's another way you can get to the distance. But you could just do the driving directions. Don't tell them exactly how long it's going to take them from the house to get to a school, you know, or work or whatever it is that they need. So I feel that's a little bit easier than doing this this line here. But and then so that's what the ruler does. And then to the right of the ruler is the annotation tool. So I honestly have not used this, but if you are putting things on your map and you want to show this to your clients, you could use this annotation tool. And what it does is it creates this little bubble and you can type in whatever you want information on it. So if you're saying this is the property, you can put the property address on there. If you want them to say, okay, this is where my work is, they can put that little bubble, you know, down somewhere else, and those will show up on the map. So that's what the annotation tool does. You can remove them as well. Okay, so we've pretty much gone through our tools. So the last thing I want to show you before we run out of time, well, two things I want to show you. I want to show you how to do labels, and I also want to show you how to do your settings in here. So let's do labels real quick. So I'm going to have to open up a few things here. Let me clear everything. There's a clear all button here too. That will remove anything that you have selected or you drew on there or whatever. I'm going to go back to my search criteria box. I have to open that up because I'm going to need that to hit the search button. I'm going to draw, which you can actually do the search from drawing as well, but I'm going to just draw a quick rectangle here. So I want to do labels. Let's go back to the property that I did. I'm going to do just sold. So I'm going to go to the house that I sold and I'm going to draw around it. So hang on, let's zoom out here because I'm too far over. And I'm going to draw around it so I can send something to all the neighbors. So the house is right here. You're going to take your rectangle tool, for example. This is a school here, so I don't want to go by the school. I'm going to go probably up here and just put this area here. There we go. So I just drew a quick box here. Now, when you hit search on the left side of your screen, your list is going to pop up. It's going to tell you how many you have. And here are all the properties. I'm going to hit list. And now I can see them in these cards, which I don't like because it's hard to read, but right here underneath list, you have a different view. You've got the card view, but then you have the list view right now. So this is what I like seeing because it's easier to see this. And then it automatically selects them. So all these houses on Barclay Square are condos, so I know that. So if you don't want something, you just uncheck it. And I always look too, because if you're near a main street, there might be a business and you probably don't want to send it to a business. So you'll want to uncheck those as well. All right. So this will search whatever area you want. I want to use these as labels. So you're now going to go down to the bottom of your page and there's a labels button. So right below where all your list is, click on labels. And this makes it so easy. This is a free service. You don't have to pay for it. So you can pull addresses all day long from this. So Avery 5160 is your typical. It doesn't have to be an Avery label, but typically there's 30 labels, 10 in each row. There's a specific size. Those are mailing labels. So if you select that, it's going to ask you, do you want to use capital and lowercase letters or all caps? I like using both. Do you want it to go to the tax billing address or do you want to go to the property address? Well, if it's a rental, you know what that tenant's going to do is going to throw it away. So you might want to use the tax billing address. Do you want to show the current owner? Do you want to include foreign address? I don't. And do you want to eliminate duplicate labels, which you can. You go down further. So you are allowed 5,000 labels per month. And those will reset the beginning of the following month. So you can do 5,000. Now, I don't do 5,000 labels. I don't know how many agents do. So it's really not a big deal. But the minute you hit create, it's going to deduct. So I have 240 right now, and you can see here, it's going to deduct 240 of them from my allowable labels. So I'm not hitting 5,000, so I'm going to create them. You don't have to, but I'm going to. You can see them. So it creates a Word document for you, and it's a wonderful thing. And then I'll do two things. I'll either print this twice, or I can export into an Excel spreadsheet. And the reason I do this is so I can keep track. If I get some back, wrong address, or or I get calls from these, I can keep track of where I'm mailing and what I'm getting. If I'm getting cold calls or I'm getting calls from this, that they're interested in listing or possible listing appointments, then that might be a great area to keep farming. So this is really good information. You can select this box here and adjust it because it's really small, the labels. So I like to adjust so you can actually read the names. And sometimes if they're too big, you'll have to do a little bit smaller, but make sure they fit. But again, you can just print two of these and make notes on here. Or if I go back, and again, if you do an Excel spreadsheet, I believe it removes it. But if you hit export down here at the bottom and do a customize export, it's going to ask you what do you want to send over. So I want to send just the property address, owner information. I want the first name and the last name of the owner, or actually all their names. And then location information, I need the address. And then I need the city, state, and zip code. Okay. And then if I hit export, again, you can see it's reducing it. And I'm not concerned. I'm not going to be doing 5,000 labels this month. And then it's going to create an Excel spreadsheet. And there it is. And then I can take my Excel spreadsheet and then I can add additional rows, make a table of it, whatever you want. It does come in really small. And then you can make notes on this as well. So if you get calls or anything from these, or you send labels, you keep track of when you sent the labels, the dates, and you can continue farming in the same area. Okay. So that is your option with labels. I'm going to hit jump save. Let's close this out. And then down here you have also an option to print into email as well. But I don't know if it's going to do it without going into your export or your labels. So yeah, there's a maximum table. It gives you 100 maximum, cards 50, reports 25. So I've got 240 selected, so that's the issue is I got too many. So if I just select a few, now I can print and I can email as well from here. All right, so that is your labels. So we're done with that. Any questions about that? Because the last thing I'm going to show you is your settings, and we should be good. All right, so now.
All good. Thank you.
All good. Thanks, Colleen. Okay, so last thing we're going to do is let's do our settings real quick, just so I can help you with those. We got a minute to spare here. So at the top here, under you've got your name here. You've got a shopping cart. So if you pay for any of those extra, services, they have something in here you can add in. Your orders, if you do pay for something extra in here, your favorites, and then your settings is a little gear, and then there's a question mark if you need help. Select your gear, and I'm going to walk you through your settings real quick. So to the left here, you have each of the sections. So we'll start off with search. So here's what these are asking you. First thing, when you run a search, if you only find one property, do you want it to open up automatically to the property detail report or just stay with a single line? I like the single line. If you want the full report, just click on this box and then it'll automatically take you to that property detail report. For mailing labels, do you want labels that are not on the do not mail list? So it will list those homes, and I believe it says do not mail on them, but do you want to include those in your labels? Sales transactions, do you want to include unmatched sales transactions in search results? Well, unmatched means that they are either longer than what we're searching or they don't match all the criteria you put in there. I typically don't. So I'll adjust my criteria and find what I need. How many properties do you want to see total? You can see 3,000 is the maximum in your results grid, but you can have as little as you want here as well. So again, this is going to probably pertain if you're running labels or something in your areas. To the left of that, you're going to go to reports next. Okay, so you have an option for fixed and dynamic. So fixed reports will show everything that there are search criteria boxes for, even if it's empty. So that means if Realist doesn't have information about the square footage, it might be empty. It'll say square feet and it'll be empty. If you go dynamic, it removes anything that doesn't have results, if it doesn't have some type of information. So if square footage had nothing, then it would remove square footage. You wouldn't even see it on your results. So I like to keep everything in there and I can see what information they have and what they're missing. Comparable reports. You can have 50 total, but you can adjust this. This is your search criteria when you're running comps. So this is where you can set up your default as well. So sort method, I sort by square footage. If you want to include any images or assessments, you can. I don't like I don't want to adjust my default for a pool, for your build, for a number of bedrooms. Distance is fine, but none of these, because these are very specific. So I want it pretty broad, and then I'll adjust as needed as I'm doing my searches. And then, and again, if you're doing a rural area, you might want to change. If you mainly work up north and it's all acreage, you might want to adjust this to whatever you typically search. And then I want to include all my tax sales. My boundary, I'm not going to adjust right now. I'll adjust it individually. I don't want to put in here waterfront unless I'm working on a waterfront property. I want to see it by sales date. I keep it for a year right now, but I'll usually change that default in the summer. And then your percentage of it searching by the subject property for square footage and for the lot size. And then the land use. I usually keep single family and same as subject as my default. I do more houses than condos, but if I do have a condo, I'm going to adjust it when I run that search. And I leave nothing for style. Okay, neighbors report. How many do you want to see? You can see up to 30. And then how far do you want them from the subject property? And if you notice, mine were on the same street. If you want to search city, zip code, subdivision, you can. I do want to include my property images. And then with my neighborhood profile report for businesses, it will show those businesses in the area. How far do you want them from the subject property? How many do you want to see per category? And then here on the right is everything that it shows that's already selected. So it's going to give you everything from travel, attractions in the area, shopping, farms, pet services. If you don't want to include something, click on the X to remove it. If something's missing, check mark it. And you can have all of them included if you would like. Same thing with schools. How far from the subject property? Do you want to see public and private? And what type of schools? Do you want to see just elementary, middle, and high school? Do you want to include vocational, adult education? Again, whatever you're looking for is a default when you're running searches to show in those results. That's what you select here. Okay, so from here, you're going to hit Save Changes in the bottom right corner of your screen. That'll save everything you just did. And then the last two things, email signature to the left. This is where you can type in your email or your email information, your signature line, your contact information. The problem with this is very limited what you can do. So you can change your font, you can change the size, you can make it bold, italicized, or underline it. You can change the color, and you can justify how, if you want to the right, the left, centered, and so forth. That's all you can do. You can't pull your logo in. You can't pull a signature that you have set up. None of that, unfortunately. So it's basic information. And then to the left again, last thing, map. If you want to include your parcel lines as a default, which I do, you want to turn that on and hit Save Changes. And save changes if you do your email signature as well. And that is it. So I'm so sorry we ran a little bit over here. Is there any other questions or anything I can show anyone again? I'm happy to go through anything else.
A lot of people saying thank you. You did a great job. Was it 5,000 labels a month? I believe you mentioned it was.
Yes, 5,000 labels per month.
All right. A lot of people just saying thank you. Lisa, as always, I thought you did an outstanding job. I will get this class uploaded. Matter of fact, I'm going to work on it probably in the next 2 hours. So, so to answer your question, yes, we did record it. It will be uploaded. Matter of fact, I'm going to work on those today, so I should have them all uploaded. Got 3 to catch back up on this week, so I should have them all uploaded by 5 o'clock today.
Perfect. And then again, if you didn't get a chance to pull those handouts in Paragon, MLS documents, and then you can go to the our folder, our My Real Source folder, and you can go to education. We have 98 handouts. Colleen and I wrote most of these. It's step-by-step, and you can go by sections. So again, if you're looking for Realist, you can type in Realist in here, and it'll pull whatever we have for Realist. So, and then it will walk you through things as well.
Hey, Lisa, will you show them where they can find that class recording one more time, as well as the upcoming classes tomorrow in the Education Corner?
Yes, hang on one second here. Let's go into resources. So if you go into resources, all the way to the right, you've got education here, Education Corner, recorded webinars, online classes, marketplaces in here as well. So you'll find those recorded webinars right from here. If you click on it, it'll take you to our YouTube page. Make sure you follow us, and then you can, whatever you're looking for, this should be in here. I mean, we've done so many of these classes, and Colleen's done a great job of recording these and putting these all in here. So you can watch any of these, over again, including this class today. So whatever you need.
Awesome. Well, great job, Lisa. Thank you as always, and hope everybody stays warm and have a great day. Happy selling, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.